everybody, welcome to another episode of Nigerian. Today we sit down with a very impressive young man. His name is Mr. Tamilore Odimayo. He's a licensed psychotherapist, he's an author, and he is getting his doctorate. So he's going to tell us about his foray into the field of psychotherapy.
Is that what we're calling it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we'll let him speak, but he's going to tell us all about how his journey into that space and his advice for anyone looking to get into that space in the United States. So keep watching and stay tuned.
All right. So first question, tell us about yourself. Tell us about how you got into your field. Actually, what do you do, first of all? What's your name? What do you do? Who are you?
My name is Tamilore Odimayo, Oluwa Tamilore Odimayo.
Okay.
All the above. I'm a licensed therapist right now. I work with the substance abuse population and do a whole lot of mental health and trauma care. For my side job, I'm an author, written 7 books, and my newest book right now is Diary of a Psychopath. And just watch out because Barnes & Noble is about to have me for a book signing.
Okay. We didn't know that, I guess.
With a celebrity.
Celeb to be.
Well, is your book, was it launched yet? Is it released?
It's released. It was released a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, and yeah.
Nice.
That's nice.
Okay. Catch him in the city close to you, signing his book. So, I guess, where did you go to school? How did you get into psychotherapy? And also, how did you get to be an author? Let's start with your psychotherapy piece first.
Yeah. School-wise, I first started at St. Thomas University, and I was a pre-med major, and I was there for a semester. And my professor then told me that I had no... I don't know if she was dissing me. She told me I had no business doing medicine. And she told me that psychology was my main thing, but I didn't listen to her. And you know, Nigerian dads now, like, they want you to be a doctor and doctor only. So I transferred to FIU, Florida International University, and that's kind of when I realized that the pre-med thing was not working. Chemistry came, I was like, okay. Organic chemistry came, I was like, hell no. I'm sorry for my French. But at that point, my dad and I had a discussion, and I told him, I said, hey, like, I cannot... Medicine is not my thing, and he kind of agreed, and well, under the condition that I still have doctor behind my name. And that's when it started. I started with psychology, and really, like, with a bachelor's in psychology, you really can't do much as far as therapy goes. You can be a subsidiary therapist, helping the main therapist, and I went ahead to get my master's so I can actually practice. And I got my master's in human development counseling, the clinical mental health track. And that's what I'm using right now to practice psychotherapy. And I've worked with foster care kids, with trauma clients, with acute care. I've done most of my experience is working with trauma. And that's a big thing right now because a lot of kids, a lot of people have experienced some type of trauma. Physical, sexual, emotional, like it's a whole wide range. Yeah.
So how about being an author? How did you get into that? And you have an interesting story. Share your story with us.
Author, which one of them?
Your full scarf sheet story from Nigeria.
Right, that's true.
How did you start?
Oh, yes. So, in Nigeria, so between WAEC and NECO, there was a long period of time. I don't know what happened. I think some people were doing voodoo. So they postponed NECO for a longer period of time, and I was bored. After a while, there's only so much studying you can do. So I got my long higher education notebook, and then I started writing this book called Olivetti. And I would write chapter by chapter, and my friends would read it. And that just got me writing more and more and more. And I actually forgot about the book. So fast forward 3 years later, when I was in school here in America, someone told me about ways to be an author. And I was like, I remembered writing a book, but I couldn't find it. So I went to my suitcase. I was checking everywhere. Found it. And that's what happened. After that, I just started writing, and that's how I started.
And since then, you've written 7 books.
7 books.
A whole 7 books. This guy's our age mate, so.
It's not good. Can you disclose?
No.
Are you almost 30?
I'm almost 40.
It's under 30, okay?
I'm under 30. I'm
Under 30,
Yeah.
7 books, about to be a doctor. Get
Yeah.
that doctor
He
doctor
eligible.
degree. Okay.
Next question. Alright, so why did you choose to get on this path? Like, what were your reasons? I know you said, you kind of told us a little bit about that piece of wanting to do medicine, but then your professor told you that psychology was better suited for you. But did you ever in your heart feel like, oh, I actually want to do psychology, but family pressure made me to do medicine?
Yeah. I actually, you know what's so funny though is that like, when I was taking my my jam, and I was looking for, University of Unilag and all those places, I actually told my parents I wanted to be a psychology major, and they told me,
What are you going to do with that?
What are you going to do with that? What are you going to do with that? And looking back, I don't know why I said I wanted to do that, but like now I'm realizing that ever since secondary school, primary school, I was the person that would sit down and talk to my friends about what's going on with you,
Oh, so deep.
And yeah.
All the deep guys. That's cool. That's cool. So what does it take to be a licensed psychotherapist?
All right, so there are 2 stages you can get. You can be the first stage is the LPC. So with the LPC, licensed professional counselor license, you need a master's degree for that, and you need to actually pass 2 exams, the CPC and the National Board Counselor Education exam.
Okay.
And with this, you can basically have your foot in the door. So you can work under any fully licensed therapist, a psychiatrist, a psychologist, or a doctor. And this is basically how you get most of your clients signed off, basically. But after 2 years, you wait 2 years after you get that license. And after 2 years, you sit down for the Licensed Clinical Professional Counselor exam, which is also known as the National Clinical Mental Health Counseling exam. And with that, you can practice by yourself. You don't need anyone signing off on your documents, on your client list. And it's actually a very rewarding process because, obviously the first 2 years you're working under someone's like your residency. And you might not be making much, but once you cross over to the next part, like, things get a lot better.
Okay. So is that after bachelor's or after your master's?
After your master's.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you need to get your bachelor's in what?
Bachelor's in, you can get a bachelor's in anything as long as you take the main psychology courses.
Which are?
Abnormal psychology, clinical psychology, and I think it's been a long time, but
That's okay.
the main ones. Those are the main ones.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then go ahead.
So even if you don't have a bachelor's in, like a proper bachelor's in psychology, do you need like a minor in psychology?
Preferably, because if you don't what helped me in my master's program is the fact that like a lot of the classes I took in my master's program, I took in my undergraduate program. I have friends who didn't get a bachelor's in psychology, like they had a BA in bio or something, and when they got into the master's program, they found it difficult because a lot of the classes were strained for them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you get your bachelor's in anything as long as you take the core classes. Then you get your master's, and then after that you can either do the LPC, or do you have to do the LPC first before the second piece?
Yeah, you do the LPC first. You sit down for the exam, and then you move on to the LTPC.
Gotcha. Okay, that's cool. How long did that take you?
Everything in total? It's about 7 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Full doctor, yeah.
Yeah, about 7 years.
So does that count your bachelor, your years getting your BSc? Or your
Yeah.
or your B?
Yeah.
So 4 years
Wow.
BSc, 2
And
years
2 years
LPC
2 years for the
Grad
master's.
school.
for the master's,
For the master's program.
and then
2 years post-master's to get the advanced license.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay,
Interesting.
it's a long journey, guys. And I feel like it's one of those things that you need to be dedicated, you need to be passionate about what you're doing in order for you to really get into it.
Yeah. It's a really emotional career because, you sit and you talk to people who have been through a whole lot of things that you cannot even imagine. And, you have to still find a way to self-care, which is what I call it, find a way to self-care so that what they're saying does not affect you personally eventually. Yeah.
That's cool. So let's talk about your other life outside of being a psychotherapist. What are the steps to becoming an author in the US?
Oh, okay. Being an author, I mean, there's several processes you can go through. Once you have your full manuscript, if you're reading a book and you like it, you get it edited and you get it proofread by professionals, and they're the ones who make the corrections, take out chapters, or add stuff to it. And then once all that is done, then you can go ahead and find an agent. This agent usually hooks you up to the big name publishers, right? This process, what I'm talking about right now is the traditional process. It's really, really hard because you need to find the right agent, and then you need an agent who has the connections to the big name agencies.
Okay.
Right? But like getting your foot in the door is hard.
Okay.
You can now go through, which is now more common, and now because people realize that if you're going through an agent and then you have to go to a publisher, you're taking away from the money you're going to make. Because you have to pay the agent some money, the publisher some money, and then you have to pay the bookstore some money. So now the publishing industry found a way to cut that process, and they created the self-publishing process.
Okay.
Where you as the author get a way to, you can control all your sales and who gets everything, and then you take a huge chunk of the money. So you go and you post it online at several self-publishing websites, and they help you market your book. They help you put your book out there, your book's out there, and yeah.
That's it?
And that's it. That's really it. So you just put it there. They will send, or it takes about 6 months because they'll send it back to you to make corrections, and you send it back, and it's back and forth and back and forth until you get that book.
So do you boycott the editors as well in the self-publishing?
You control everything. So basically, if you get your own editor, you get everything, and easier process.
Okay.
And then if you do have good marketing skills, which I'm not that great to be honest, but if you do have good marketing skills, it works a whole lot better for you in the long run because you do make more money. And actually big names, like the lady who wrote what's it called?
50 Shades.
50 Shades. She started with the self-publishing process before she went into the traditional process.
Okay.
Yeah.
So your thing with Barnes & Noble now, is that through the self-publishing or the traditional process?
It's through the self-publishing process.
Okay.
Yeah. So with, and then they got me to Barnes & Noble and Books A Million and Amazon and all those places. And so I do book signings and all that stuff.
Good stuff.
It's getting real, yo. Okay. What are the challenges that you face being an African psychotherapist and being an African author?
In the US?
In the US. Being a therapist. So one of the biggest things for me as a therapist is my accent. And you might not hear it now, but like, sometimes,
It comes out.
It comes out. The H factor.
Full force.
Where's the heba? Like my accent comes in place, and sometimes people don't understand me. But because I realized after a while that the more I talk to a client, the easier it is for them, and I try to be as natural as possible. So that's one of the challenges. The second challenge I have is a lot of times people think you don't know what you're saying. And
That's because you're African?
Yeah.
Is it color factor or is it an African factor?
I think it's both. Both. It's a color factor, and
yeah, your accent.
And then but then when people sometimes I just like to hey, look, this is why I went to school. And that kind of calms people down. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. How about being an author? Biggest challenge?
The biggest challenge being an author. That's a hard one because right now the biggest for me is just marketing, and my name. Okay, so I have 7 books, right? The first trilogy is written under Tamilore Odimayo, right? Then I have 1 book that's written under Samuel Odimayo, which is my middle name.
Why?
Why did you change?
Listen to this.
Okay.
Someone, and then the last 3 books is written under Tammy Odimayo. Right? Guess which book has sold more copies?
Samuel.
Exactly. So why is that? The name. People see
They're
the
like,
name.
who is this foreigner?
Yeah.
Probably not a good book.
I think people see Tamilore Odumayo, they're like,
Tamilore.
And then they see Samuel Odumayo, like, oh, okay. And so Samuel Odumayo has actually sold more copies than Tamilore or Tammy Odumayo.
I feel like it needs to be Sammy O or something
Yeah.
like
Right? Yeah. Maybe it's Sammy
Probably
O.
sell more. Next book.
that.
Yeah.
Right on the...
All right. So now we're in 2019. We're seeing an increased awareness of like mental health. Well, increased awareness or increased promotion of mental health awareness in Nigeria. So are you doing anything in your own little way to contribute to that?
Yes. Yeah. So I have on my Instagram page, Tammy Odumayo, at Tammy Odumayo. I'm trying to destigmatize mental health. Because when I came here and when I started studying, I realized that man I used to see on Allen Avenue who was carrying stuff that we all made fun of, he was just going through basic mental health issues that can be cured with medicine and psychotherapy. You know, and the issue there is a lot of people right now who are struggling with mental health are quiet about it because they don't want anyone to think they're crazy. But the thing is, mental health is actually more important than your physical health because everything has a very weird connection. If you're depressed and you stick with you continue with your depressive symptoms, your body feels it, and eventually you start to get sick.
Yeah.
You know, if you're struggling with anxiety, eventually you're going to develop high blood pressure, heart disease, liver failure, kidney failure, and all of that stuff. So once people can realize that mental health is not actually a bad thing, it's something that it's something that we as people just need to focus on more. Then things can get better. So what I'm doing right now is just focusing on making videos on Facebook or on Instagram and just spreading the word out there like, hey, it's okay to be depressed. It's okay to see a therapist. Just because you're seeing a therapist does not make you crazy. It's okay to seek help, because at the end of the day, you're human and you have only one life.
Yeah.
And when your mental health is good, your relationships are better, your physical health is better, like almost everything is better.
Yeah.
Yes. So do you have any tips for international students who would be in your field or looking to go in your field for opportunities or tips, anything you can share to help them?
The biggest thing I would say is if you're an international student, and this is one of the things I wish I had known when I was taking my bachelor's degree, is try to get in a school that's heavy on research, psychology research, because that's when you can get like scholarships or funding for whatever program you're taking. So if you get into a bachelor's degree and you're working with a professor who is researching how the brain is influenced by blah or whatever it is, you get to be a research assistant. You get something on your resume that helps you get into a good master's program. And then you might also get funding for your school too. And then when you get into your start with your master's degree, find a school that has a graduate assistantship program. That way you can get paid to go to school basically. You also get good experience. In everything. Psychology wise, like people respect more therapists who have experience in different areas.
Okay.
Be it the hospitals or one-on-one counseling or yeah.
Cool. Well, those are the questions that we have. But is there anything else that you want to share with us? And our community of internationals.
Nothing. Well, you can. I'm trying to advertise myself. At Tammy Odumayo.
Okay.
Instagram.
Which social media?
How do you spell Tammy?
TAMI.
M-I.
Yeah.
Odumayo.
ODIMAYO.
And is that the same on Facebook?
Facebook is Tamilore Odumayo. So just an LORE at the end of Tammy.
Tamilore. Right there. But thank you very much for joining us today. It was fun talking to you.
Thank you for having me.
We appreciate Tamilore. This year has been patient with us. We've had multiple takes of this video, so we really appreciate you for coming back.
This is going live.
We appreciate you for coming back, and hope you guys enjoy this content, and we'll see you in our next video. Bye guys.
Bye.
Remember to like, share, and comment.
And subscribe.
Bye guys.